Squid Game is a South Korean survival drama series that took the world by storm when it was released in September of this year on Netflix. It's a dystopian story in which financially destitute and desperate adults are brought to a remote island to play a series of deadly children's games in an attempt to win a life-changing cash prize, while impassive elites watch for personal enjoyment. And it has captivated viewers like nothing else in recent history. An international sensation, since its release, it has been watched by more than 100 million households and has become Netflix's biggest release of all time. And its creator just confirmed season 2 is on the way. But most of you probably already knew all of that. For the past several weeks and months, most everyone has been talking about this show, and I took the time to listen as other channels here on YouTube reviewed it and broke down every detail of the series. And then I realized something. Everyone was so interested in all the little details, they didn't really step back and really ask the question, why has Squid Game become such a rousing success? What is it about this series that has made it into a cultural phenomenon? In a world where a vast amount of entertainment choices are literally just a tap away, what kept people so invested in this series in particular? So today I'm going to attempt to answer that question. If you've been watching this channel for some time, you know that we here don't rush to be the first to talk about every single topic. We analyze, scrutinize, and do our due diligence before creating our content. And that's exactly what we've done with Squid Game. What follows is the real reason Squid Game became one of the most watched, most discussed, and most captivating shows of the 21st century. And yes, there will be spoilers. Welcome to the Wright Brothers. I'm going to start off by saying that this won't exactly be a scene-by-scene breakdown of Squid Game. By now, many of you have already watched it for yourselves. We already know how all the exhilarating, heartbreaking, and touching scenes made us feel. What this will be is a broader analysis of what made it such an enjoyable ride from beginning to end. I've watched Squid Game all the way through 3 times now. It's one of those shows you simply can't stop watching once you've started it. And it tells an incredible story of redemption, resilience, betrayal, heartbreak, classism, self-reliance, and the essence of humanity and morality. As I watched dozens and dozens of reviews on it, I realized an interesting common denominator. Everyone was actually giving their own unbiased personal opinions on it. Now at first you might say there's nothing remarkable about that. People do that all the time. And you'd be right. But here's what I mean. For the first time in a long time, I realized that Hwang Dong-hyuk, the writer of Squid Game, actually gave people the chance to draw their own conclusions about the series. He didn't force a particularly biased, heavy-handed, polarizing view into the story meant to align people with any singular stance. The script, plot, and premise were all largely free of something that many people have become far too accustomed to in the world of cinema. That something is an agenda. Hollywood has taken the poison pill of political correctness and virtue signaling to such a degree almost every movie or TV show in modern times has had a deftly crafted undercurrent of messaging catering to a particular group, cause, or political ideology. Here's the problem with that. Movies and TV shows have always been a way to escape from the world around us, a reprieve from the mundaneness of our day-to-day, a place where we can set aside our own problems and, for a few precious hours, get lost in a fictitious story brought to the screen. This is why many of us have enthusiastically lost ourselves in the worlds of Jurassic Park, Star Wars, the MCU, and DCEU, and many other franchises over the years. But over the last few years, movies and TV shows have taken a different turn, and the content we've been given in recent years has suffered greatly for it. This is because Hollywood and Western media has chosen to insert real-world biases and social justice causes into their fictitious stories. And when real-world biases and social justice causes invade the medium we turn to in order to escape, no one ever wins. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a conservative African-American man, and I make absolutely no apology for that. But I know many people out there are not, and that's okay. I bring up my politics because this is a political channel, and the topics we discuss are cogent to the political world. Politics is downstream from culture. Culture is shaped by entertainment, and in recent years, mainstream entertainment has become largely indistinguishable from the real world in which we live and the political biases pertinent thereto. This is a problem, and it would be just as much of a problem if mainstream entertainment constantly catered to the whims of the right. Even as a conservative myself, I'd chafe and become annoyed if every piece of entertainment had an undercurrent of conservatism, because I realize that entertainment should be entertaining. And you can't be fully entertaining to an audience when you overtly or covertly alienate half of that audience by shoehorning underlying partisan messages into the media you create. That's the brilliance of Squid Game. This South Korean drama series has been watched and enjoyed by those on the left and those on the right alike, because its creator chose not to pick and choose which side of the aisle he wanted to attract. I'm not familiar with South Korean politics or how their culture deals with political correctness or social justice, but I do know this. They were able to put together a series that transcended the typical language barrier and reach and enthrall a global audience. And trust me, they had plenty of chances to pick a side and weave it into the plot of the series. In a world where police officers are actively demonized and vilified, Squid Game managed to encourage us to enthusiastically root for the police officer who infiltrated the secret world of the Squid Game to search for his missing brother. In a world where LGBT characters are considered untouchable and above reproach, Squid Game was bold enough to insert a character of said community, have him play the part of an off-putting, self-serving pervert, have his prospective victim use violence against him, and leave viewers actively cheering at the LGBT character's demise. In a world that doggedly pushes female empowerment, and arguably female superiority in many cases, Squid Game saw multiple prominent male characters dismiss women as physically inferior to males, use them for their own whims, and discard them immediately after, and ultimately cause the demise of a fan-favorite female character who delivered an incredibly heart-wrenching performance. And viewers still overwhelmingly praised the show as a masterpiece. In a world where illegal immigration is a divisive topic, Squid Game was able to insert an insensitive quip about illegal immigrants, then have that illegal immigrant fall prey to manipulation by a South Korean character, and meet his demise as a result. We all cared deeply about that character and were heartbroken to see him go, but not because he was an illegal immigrant. Not because the script was so heavy-handed with socio-political subtext that we found ourselves being forced to sympathize with him, but because the script had us see him as simply a human who was taken advantage of by another callous, selfish character. In a world where humanity itself has grown increasingly cold, and where people actively distance themselves from others, Squid Game was able to strip away the social crags upon which we so frequently become entangled, and push us to see the characters as people. Actual, nuanced people. People who were more than their political identities or ideologies. People who were just people. And viewers connected with this overwhelmingly. In Western media today, we no longer get stories like this. We no longer are able to enjoy entertainment devoid of the trappings of PC culture. We're forced to tread and retread the same played-out narratives and tropes of our time, which leads us to feel largely unmoved by anything Hollywood produces today. But Squid Game did the opposite, and it is why well over 100 million people enjoyed the series so much. Because it was actually refreshing. Because it wasn't formulaic like much of what we've come to expect. Because it was unique in an entertainment world of increasing conformity and polarization. This is why people were free to draw their own conclusions as to what the series was really all about. This is why Squid Game outperformed all other content ever released on Netflix. Now, I know many people out there may disagree with this take, and if you do, that's absolutely fine. But I want you to ask yourself something. When was the last time you watched an American movie or TV show that focused on creating a story you cared about instead of weaving in the social causes with which you most align? I know for a fact that they are few and far between in the 21st century. I used to be a devoted viewer of The Walking Dead, but over time, that show too took the poison pill of political correctness and demographic bias, which has ultimately led to declining viewership in a milquetoast storyline that pales in comparison to its earliest episodes. Inordinate focus was given to the sexualities of the characters, among other unimportant topics, instead of how they managed to find a way to survive. This diluted the gravity of the story the writers were trying to tell. And it took a good concept and made it into another mouthpiece for the ideologies of the writers and studios alike. and it ultimately contributed to waning interest in the entire production. Point being, the show killed itself well before the Walkers killed some of my favorite characters. International films and TV shows have largely and smartly avoided weaving current social conformity trends into their narratives. And I believe this is why Squid Game and many other international shows have slowly but surely cemented themselves as the standard bearers for what can be described as true cinema today. Diversity and inclusion are topics Hollywood has largely catered to obsessively since the turn of the century. And that's not to say diversity or inclusion are inherently bad concepts in and of themselves. Where they begin to become problematic is when they become the cornerstone of every media creation. Take Marvel Studios' Black Panther movie of 2018. Now, before you smash that dislike button, assuming you already haven't, which wouldn't be surprising given the knee-jerk reactions of your average viewer these days, no, I don't think it was a bad film on the whole. And no, I don't think having a predominantly black cast was a problem at all. What was a problem was the fact that anyone who voiced valid misgivings about the arguably formulaic plot of the movie was forced to contend with instantaneous accusations of racism, discrimination, or bigotry, not because of any of the actual points they raised, but because they simply dared to criticize a movie with a largely black cast. Take the new Michael Myers film Halloween Kills. I personally didn't watch the movie at all, but even without watching it, I saw multiple news articles of people complaining and accusing the titular character of homophobia because he killed a gay couple in the movie. Now, if he was a real character in real life, do you really think Michael Myers would sit there and say, that's a gay couple over there. I should make sure to kill them because of how I feel about gay people? No, because he kills people. That's what that character does. It has nothing to do with the sexual orientation of the victims at all. He just kills indiscriminately. But because Western viewers have so internalized their own ideologies and foisted them into every piece of entertainment they consume, they still found something to be upset about, even though the story had nothing to do with a particularly anti-LGBT stance or premise. Such is the utterly joyless nature of an audience that would rather be validated than simply enjoy the entertainment before them as what it is. Which begs the question, if diversity, inclusion, and the orientations of the cast are all that matter to viewers today, why should studios even have to try to create actually good cinematic content anymore? The answer is, for American entities like Hollywood, they don't. And trust me, they know this. The sacred cows of diversity, inclusion, and demographic representation have superseded the actual purpose of cinema, which should be to make actually good, fresh, new, innovative, entertaining content that people want to find themselves lost in the first place. Let's go back to what I mentioned earlier about the reviews of Squid Game that I watched on YouTube over the last few weeks. Not once did I hear anyone bemoan the fact that the cast was almost entirely homogenous. Not once did I hear anyone opine about the fact that not a single black character was in the series. Not once did I come across anyone complaining that the show didn't have an LGBT protagonist. Not once did I hear anyone speak negatively about law enforcement in their critiques. Not once did I hear anyone say they were offended by the quip about illegal immigrants. Because for the writer of Squid Game, none of that was supposed to be the focal point of the series to begin with. He put together a narrative that allowed us all to simply sit back, watch, and enjoy his creative masterpiece without subtly or overtly encouraging us to adopt his own worldview as our own and see the world through his lens. I don't know Hwang Dong-hyuk's politics. I'm sure he has his own thoughts about the world and the many social problems therein, and he is entitled to every last one of them. But here's the thing. I do not care about that. I care about whether or not he created something actually worth watching, and I and the majority of the rest of the world agrees that he did exactly that. So what I want you to think about is how far Hollywood has fallen in recent years. Think about how bland and lifeless their latest productions have been. Think about how refreshing it was to watch something truly original for a change. Think about how much you enjoyed getting lost in a fictitious world as you watched Squid Game. And think about when the last time was that you sat in a theater or on your couch at home and watched something from Hollywood, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, Vudu, or whatever your streaming platform may be, that truly captured your attention and actually gave you real enjoyment. Not because the story aligned with your views, but because the story itself was actually good and allowed you to interpret it for yourself. International entertainment has mastered this art form. It doesn't conform to the whims of identity politics. And Hollywood should take copious notes about how others around the world are doing it, because Western media has a lot of catching up to do. Maybe one day we can make entertainment entertaining again. The world would be a better place for it. And that's my review of Squid Game. If you enjoyed this video essay, I'd like to encourage you to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel, and turn on that bell so you're notified whenever we release brand new content. My brother Trey and I cover a myriad of topics and have a diverse range of video and delivery styles, but we always pride ourselves in researching, thinking deeper, and analyzing the world around us, while giving credit where it is due. Yes, our political persuasion is the lens through which we view much of our world, but we're still committed to remaining factual and principled, regardless of our views. Because politics is downstream from culture. Culture is shaped by entertainment. Entertainment is worth observing, critiquing, and digesting with critical eyes and minds. And that's what we hope to have accomplished with this video. So if you haven't seen Squid Game, and if the genre suits your fancy, I highly encourage you to. Yes, it is violent, and no, it is not for young children. But if it's the type of show you think you'd enjoy, just do yourself a favor and watch it. You'll be glad you did, and now you know why. Let me know what you thought of the series in the comments below. Let me know if you disagree with this take, or let me know if you enjoyed it. I'm here for all of it. Special shout out to our loyal Patreon donors and our friends and followers across all of social media. We appreciate you, and we couldn't do what we do without your support and encouragement. And we'll continue to work to bring you the quality content you've come to expect. But until next time, thanks so much for watching. I'm Damani Felder, and I'll catch you in the next one.
The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.